Lakers have started their season off strong, and I know my Laker fam has a lot to say. So today, we are going to be answering some of your questions. You're watching Lakers Report by Chat Sports, all things Lakers. What's up, Laker fam? I'm your host, Hannah Kulik, and of course, you're watching Lakers Report by Chat Sports. Now today, we have a very exciting video because I'm going to be answering all of your questions. I asked you guys on Twitter to send me all of your Laker questions you have. You sent me a ton, so I want to just jump right in and get right to these questions. But before we do, I want to make sure you guys hit that subscribe button down below so that you do not miss a single second when it comes to our Los Angeles Lakers. This Lakers Report family is growing. I am so excited, so make sure that you hit that subscribe button and join the family so that you do not miss anything when it comes to our Lakers, because it's obviously going to be a very exciting season. And while you're at it, go ahead and give me a follow on my Instagram at HannahRoseKulik and my Twitter at Hannah_Kulik. So that way next week for my next mailbag, you guys will be able to participate and send me in a question. But without further ado, let's just jump into these questions and see what you guys have to say. Starting with our first question today, it is from @PGYoungFly. He asks, why do we start out so slow then absolutely dominate the second half? You know, I don't really know why that happens. This has obviously been something that has been a repeated pattern. Besides that first game against the Clippers, which we actually, of course, we all know that we lost that game, the Lakers have notoriously been getting off to these kind of slow first quarters. And then it really is when that second unit kind of comes in, particularly Dwight Howard, who really provides a lot of energy, a lot of defensive energy as well when they really start to roll. But in general, we have seen the Lakers play much better in the second half. They've really been buckled down defensively in that second half as well, which has obviously helped. So I think a big part of that is just this is a new team. There is going to be an adjustment period. Sometimes, you know, starting off the game, you can see that you're doing some things wrong, and as the game continues, obviously you can make some adjustments and stuff. But just as we do move forward into the season, I do want the Lakers to really start off strong in that first quarter, especially from the defensive end, because they have shown that they are really capable of being an elite defensive team. And we saw that against the game in Memphis when they held the Memphis Grizzlies to only 20 points in that second half. So I want to see them really start off strong. So I agree with you, but I would like to see them really start off that first quarter strong and really just play strong for a solid 48 minutes. But again, new team, so it's going to take a little bit of time, and I'm pretty happy with where we're at right now. No matter how we win the game, as long as we win, I'm pretty happy, to be honest. And our next question is from, oh, I love this one. It is from @KB24Drive. He asked, what are your thoughts on Avery Bradley? I have been extremely impressed with Avery Bradley, especially from the defensive end. I'm very excited that he has been able to get that start because I think defensively it has really helped us a lot, and I think he's been doing a lot that hasn't really been even showing up on the stat sheet. I've actually been at a couple of games and you can really watch how well he's playing defensively. He is really such a lockdown defender. Something that I would critique Avery Bradley the first couple of games of the season was that he wasn't really being that aggressive offensively, but we have seen him as of late be a little bit more aggressive offensively. Still don't think he's being as aggressive as I would like to see him. I would like to see him look to take some more shots, look to take some more threes, and just really kind of look to maybe drive to the basket a little bit more. But at the same time, I've been extremely impressed by what I have seen from him on the defensive end. And honestly, he has been one of the biggest surprises and really biggest excitements for me. I know a lot of people said that, you know, during training camp, he was kind of all the hype was about him. But in preseason, I didn't really see it too much. So now that the season has started, I'm starting to see what everyone was whispering about and what everyone was talking about, him being that lockdown defender. So very impressed with Avery Bradley so far. That was a great question, by the way. Thank you so much for asking it. Next question here we have from @BigaDeRuler. He says, after we start rolling, I can realistically see Anthony Davis averaging around 33 to 35 points with 13 to 14 rebounds and 2 blocks. Those would be awesome numbers. With numbers like that, he could win MVP and/or Defensive Player of the Year. So what do you think could AD average this season? Well, that would be awesome if Anthony Davis averages 30 to 35 points and 13 or 14 rebounds. I don't necessarily know if that's going to be the case. Those may be some pretty outlandish numbers. There's really been few players who have ever played to be able to average, 35 points and 14 rebounds. So, never know. AD could be, a player who does that. But I think a realistic thing for Anthony Davis is somewhere around the 29-point range and then about 12 rebounds. Now, we're obviously going to see him have many games this season where he goes well above that, like that Memphis Grizzlies game when he had 40 points and 20 rebounds in just 3 quarters alone. So, but I think in terms of his season averages, I think 29 points and about 13 rebounds is something that could definitely be realistic, which are awesome numbers. And then in terms of, I don't really know if this is a part of your question, but in terms of whether or not I believe AD can win MVP or Defensive Player of the Year, I definitely think he can. I personally think he can win both. I think AD is going to have an unbelievable season this year. He's already off to an extremely impressive start. He's going to really establish himself as the best player in the league, in my opinion. So AD could definitely be MVP but I'm just going to say and Defensive Player of the Year. I really believe that the sky is the limit for AD. He's just going to continue to get better as the season develops, and that's honestly scary for every other team because he already looks unstoppable out there. All right, moving on to the next question. Oh, this is another really good one. I'm loving your guys' questions today. These are great. Okay, this one is from @Oscar L. Calderon. He asks, who do you think is the most underrated contributor of the team in the first week? Okay, so I'm going to pick 2 players here. One I already talked a little bit about, and I'm going to pick Avery Bradley just because I think defensively he has been all over the place. He's really proven to be that lockdown defender. He's doing so many little things too that just don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. So Avery Bradley definitely is one of the most underrated best players of the first week. And then I'm also going to go with Dwight Howard. I've been extremely impressed by what I've seen with Dwight. Not only is his mentality really good going into this season, but he has been really proving that he can be a team player, and he's been helping this team in any way, shape, or form. Again, he has been doing a lot of things as well that don't necessarily show up in the stat sheet. I was actually at that Utah Jazz game, and he was the one player, because again, we kind of got off to this slow start, but he was the one player that when he came in, that was when everything shifted, all of the energy shifted, and that was when the Lakers went on their run. That night, he didn't really necessarily have the most impressive stats, but still, he has really been coming off the bench and providing a huge spark for this Lakers team. He's been getting a ton of rebounds. He's been playing extremely well defensively. He's had a few games where he has been scoring the basket as well, but just in general, he's really been doing everything and anything that it takes to help this team win, and that's what I want to see from Dwight Howard. He's now become a fan favorite. Now whenever anyone sees him entering the game, the fans are cheering for him instead of booing, and I just personally love it. I love a good underdog redemption story, so I'm going to go with Avery Bradley and Dwight Howard. Those 2 players have been providing a lot of energy, and yes, people have probably been talking about them, but just not so much as I think they deserve. So Avery Bradley, Dwight Howard are the 2 players that I think have been the most underrated for the first week of the season, but I'm curious, out of those 2 players, because of course, I just talked about Dwight and Avery Bradley, if you had to pick one, who do you think is the most underrated player for the first week of the Lakers season? If you think it's Avery Bradley, type A. If you think it's Dwight Howard, type D. I think if I had to pick one, I'm just going to go with Avery Bradley, only because I think when you're really thinking of underrated, I don't really think most people are talking about him. They may mention him casually, but people are definitely talking about Dwight, just I don't think as much as I think he deserves, and he's not getting as much credit for what he's been able to contribute with this team. But I think if we're really talking about underrated, then maybe Avery Bradley, but still both players have been playing extremely well for us. Alright, we got a couple of questions on Kyle Kuzma. I'm very excited, as I'm sure my Laker fam is, because Kuz is officially back. So this first question is from @KingsPapa1015. He asked, will Kyle Kuzma hurt the Lakers' defensive efforts? I don't think so at all. I mean, yes, Kuz is maybe not the best defensive player, but he has been working extremely hard on his defense this offseason. He got a ton of experience trying out for Team USA. And Kuz is really the kind of player who works extremely hard. And if he has a weakness, he addresses that with a vengeance and really works as hard as he possibly can to become better at whatever he needs to improve on. And he knew going into this offseason that defense was definitely something he needed to improve on, and I know he's worked extremely hard, so we're just going to kind of have to wait and see how the season continues, as Kuz continues to get healthy and continues to be able to play more minutes. But as of right now, I definitely don't see him being any sort of defensive liability or anything like that. And then this next question, which also refers to Kuzma, it is from @LouiseR12. He asks, how do you feel like Kuzma fits on this team? Would he be better off the bench, or should he be a starter? This is an interesting question. I, like most Laker fans, assumed at the beginning of this offseason that Kuz would obviously be a starter, but as things kind of played out during the summer, during free agency, it looks more so like Kuz is going to be coming off the bench and having more of a six-man role type of situation. But as the season started, we've seen Anthony Davis actually playing the center a little bit more than I think he originally thought would be possible, and we've really been seeing it work a lot. Originally, Anthony Davis said he didn't really want to play the 5 for us. He wanted to be more of that power forward, but fortunately in that starting lineup, Javale McGee just hasn't really been clicking that well with that starting 5. So we've actually seen Anthony Davis been playing a lot more minutes at that center position, and it's been working. And if it continues to work, then I'm curious to see if he would end up just being that starting center. Then of course that would free up some space for Kuz to be in that starting lineup. So I think Kuz could be a starter, or he could also be obviously the best player coming off the bench, really be able to provide us with that spark off the bench and be that six-man role for us. I personally would like to see Kuz in that starting lineup just because I believe he deserves it. I think if the Lakers want him to be that third star, I think he needs to be in that starting lineup. But at the end of the day, it really is just going to kind of depend on what the other members of that starting lineup and how that all kind of looks like. If AD plays the center, then that frees up a spot for Kuz, or if LeBron ends up going to that point guard and Avery Bradley gets taken out of that starting spot, or Danny Green gets taken out of that starting spot, which I don't really see happening, then of course that would also free a spot for Kuz. But as of right now, there really isn't a spot available for him unless there is kind of a switch to that starting lineup, which may happen. But either way, I'm expecting big things from Kuz this season. I think he's going to have an unbelievable season, and I, for one, am just so excited that he is finally healthy and back on the court. But I actually want your guys' opinion on this, because now that Kuz is back, now that we've seen the Lakers actually be very successful with AD playing some minutes at that 5, do you think that the Lakers should just slide AD in the 5 and then not start JaVale McGee and then free up some space for Kyle Kuzma in that starting spot? Or you think he would be better as that six-man type of role coming off the bench for us? If you think Kuz should be a starter, type S down below. Or if you think he should be coming off the bench, being that six-man for us, type B down below. Now, before we move on to some more of your questions and really wrap this Q&A up, I want to let you guys in on a very exciting promotion that one of Chat Sports' sponsors, BetDSI, is offering us Laker fans. So if you like to bet on your favorite sports teams, it doesn't even have to be the Lakers. It can be another NBA team, or it can be the NFL, it can be college football. Then you're in luck, because BetDSI is the #1 sportsbook, and they are giving us an awesome promo code. So all you have to do is go to chatsports.com/bet, enter the promo code Lakers120, and you will get 120% deposit bonus to go play, bet on your favorite sports teams, and win some extra cash this year. So I am so grateful to BetDSI for giving us this awesome opportunity, for giving us this promo code. Again, so easy. All you do is go to chatsports.com/bet, enter Lakers120, and you get 120% deposit bonus. But let's move on to some more of your questions. All right, @Ernie4LA wants to know your thoughts on Frank Vogel so far. So I actually talked about this a little bit in my monthly grades video. I did a takeaways of the first month, and then the grades of the players, the coaching staff, defense, etc. in that first month. But in terms of my thoughts on Frank Vogel, I've been fine with what I've seen. I think he's been doing a very solid effort. Obviously, it's still very new. He's still getting to know the players, getting to know the rotations. But I don't really have too many complaints. One thing that I will say is, so far, he doesn't really seem to be making a ton of adjustments, especially when it seems like a player just isn't having a good night, or isn't shooting the ball well, or isn't playing well defensively. He hasn't been kind of quick to make any adjustments there. But again, that is just because it's such a new team. I'm sure he's just kind of still trying to figure things out, figure out a good rotation and stuff. But so far, you know, I think he's been doing a pretty solid job. And I give him a B, I think, overall. I don't really have too many complaints, but it is still super early in the season. But so far, I think Frank Vogel's been doing a pretty good job. Not many complaints from my end there. Moving on to the next question, though, it is from @_catbird_seat. They want to know, why is Dwight not starting over JaVale, or is it just a matter of time? I personally just think it's a matter of time, honestly. I mean, Dwight Howard's been off to an incredible start, and he's really been proving that he can be a team player, really do everything that it takes to help this team win. And so far, JaVale has been really struggling. He's only averaging about 4 points, 3 rebounds, something around there, and he just doesn't really seem like he's clicking with that starting lineup. And in general, the Lakers are tending to play much better when Dwight Howard is on the floor. So I think obviously to start this season, we wanted to make sure that Dwight was really in a good mindset and that he wasn't just talking the talk. He could really walk the walk and be a team player and really be healthy and be able to contribute in any way. And I think so far, we can all agree that he has been showing that. So it's going to be interesting to see, because he has been playing much better, in my opinion, than JaVale McGee, who has been struggling, how much longer the Lakers go to wait until start Dwight Howard over JaVale, or if they just believe that having Dwight come off the bench and really provide that defensive effort and that spark off the bench is going to be something that's important as the season continues. But I don't know, I just think Dwight has always been a career starter. He started in, you know, 99% of the games that he's played, so I'm sure it's a little weird for him now to come off the bench. And I'm obviously praising him because I think it's really great how he's handled everything. He's been handling it very maturely, so I'm very proud of Dwight for that. But I think it is just a matter of time, because so far we've seen the Lakers play much better with Dwight out there on the court with them over JaVale McGee at this point. Alright, now let's answer one final question. This last question today is from @DavidLoya51. He asked, if the Lakers stay healthy, where do you see them finishing in the West? Right now, I believe that it is really between the Lakers and the Clippers. Obviously, the West is very competitive. There are a lot of really top teams in there. The Denver Nuggets, the Utah Jazz, but we already beat them. The Houston Rockets. I don't really believe that the Golden State Warriors are going to be, you know, a contender anymore, especially now with this recent injury to Steph Curry. I just don't think they're going to be able to make the playoffs this year, unfortunately. But right now, I just believe that even though the West is so competitive, it really is between the Clippers and the Lakers right now. So I think those are the top two teams in the West. Obviously, the Clippers did beat us in that first game, but of course, it was our first game, and we've been playing much better since then. So I would like a rematch. I'm very excited for our rematch. Christmas Day, that's going to be an awesome game. So excited, can't wait for us to get our revenge on the Clippers. But as of right now, I truly believe that the Lakers and the Clippers are just the top two teams, so it really could go either way. I mean, if you're another team looking at it, you definitely do not want to be facing a healthy and hungry LeBron James and Anthony Davis in the playoffs. In my opinion, I just don't think there's a dynamic duo that's going to be better for us in the playoffs. So regardless where the Lakers finish in the West, I think they're going to be able to win the title this season. I'm extremely impressed by what I've seen so far. Again, it is so early into the season, but I've been extremely excited and very encouraged by what I've seen. Now that we have Kuz back, hopefully Rondo's going to be close to return as well. We can have all of our players and this whole team healthy and just continue to improve. So one thing's for sure, it's going to be a very exciting Lakers season, and we are just getting under the way. So that is going to be it for today's mailbag Q&A. Thank you guys so much for sending in your questions. These are awesome questions this week. Again, we are probably going to be doing this weekly, so always feel free to send me a question. Comment down below another question that you have for the next Q&A that we do next week, or you can always tweet me a question, DM me a question on my Instagram, and I will be happy to answer them in the next mailbag episode. Thank you guys again so much for watching. If you like this mailbag Q&A, don't forget to give it a double thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe here on Chat Sports and the new Chat Sports Lakers YouTube channel. And until next time, Laker Han is out. Bye guys!